All right, we are live. It's the Spin and Backfist MMA show for Wednesday, January 15th. Oh, it's 11/11. Everyone gets a free wish off the top of the show. And we are talking UFC 311 this week. An awesome card. We said last week was kind of the appetizer for this week's entree. We got an awesome pay-per-view.
And it was a good card. It was like an amazing
It was a good card, yeah. A lot of finishes. Like half the card was knockouts. Great way to start the year. But obviously, UFC 311 is a dream card, a fantasy card, if you want to call it that. And if you want to go to UFC 311, you can go with our friends at Game Time. Dana White just said this morning there's no way they're moving it out of California. So if you're in California and you're not affected by the wildfires, I'm sorry, I'm sick, or allergies, whatever it is. If you're not affected by the wildfires, thoughts out to everyone who is. You want to go to UFC 311. Go to Game Time right now, and with their Game Time Picks feature, they make it even easier to get into games, sports, fights, whatever you're going to. Game Time Picks is their new feature. It filters out all the fluff, only shows you the best seats in the house, the seats that you actually want to buy. Makes it very simple. It's a quick process and very easy process to get your tickets. You can get into UFC 311 this weekend. I would buy those tickets right now if I were in California. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Use the Game Time app, create an account, and use code BACKFIST for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code BACKFIST for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it? Game Time.
Shout out Game Time, the best.
We love Game Time. So you want to start at last week's card and then talk a little bit about that and then move on to UFC 311. Obviously, a lot of fights to break down.
Yeah. Also, we should discuss the PFL Bellator news.
True. Bellator is dead. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Pitbull has been released.
Yep.
Don Davis tweeted that out. And there's a lot of interesting. It's still kind of up in the air. They did an official announcement today, but they're essentially kind of getting there's going to be PFL champions, and they're kind of getting away from the season format, even though there still will be a season format, which is kind of like the old school Bellator Grand Prix. And then
it's going to be tournaments instead of seasons, they said.
And then that will be for 500K. When we heard that it dropped from $1 million to 500K, a lot of people are like, damn, the finance is bad. But as it turns out, this is just a 500K tournament, period. I didn't know this about the PFL, but in a lot of the guys' contracts, this is from Ariel Helwani, he was discussing on his show, was if you won the $1 million, you get $1 million, but what you won from the tournament was $1 million minus what you were already paid. So if you were like got 300K throughout the season, you only won 700K.
Correct.
So you end up getting $1 million, but you were going to get 300K regardless. It was all based on contract. Now the Grand Prix, if you want to enter it and you want to win it, it's 500K on top of your contract. It'll be interesting to see what they put in there. They're calling kind of their season format now the World Season format. Obviously, they have PFL Mania. They have PFL Africa, PFL Europe. We'll see what happens. I think this is the good move, though.
Yeah, I think a lot of fighters that we talk to, especially, you ask them like, hey, are you interested in continuing the season format? A lot of them that have been through it are like, it's kind of tough on my body. Like, fighters that are aging, it's tough for them to cut weight that many times quickly in a short period of time. Will this affect, do we know if this affects the use of elbows in the PFL?
I think they said elbows are now like a thing going forward.
Like, that's huge too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're like going forward. They're free reign on bows. They needed that.
Yeah.
I mean, especially because there's so many times. The most glaring one to me was the Brunson Ray Cooper, where like when you get that big mount dominant position on the ground, those elbows are like the best way to finish.
No, yeah. Absolutely, and just the fact that now they might be able to lure more fighters over that were like not worried or nervous about the season format, but just not willing to go through something like that.
And I remember the elbows were so. I remember what card I forget what it was. I think it may have been the one we went to in Atlanta, Robbie, when Burgos had to win, and he just took down this guy every single time, and he was on top of him. He was like I think he was 20 years old from Japan.
Yeah,
the guy already had like 50 professional fights, and he wasn't bad, but the guy was tough as hell, and he just couldn't finish him because he wasn't allowed to do the elbows. This will be interesting to see Burgos get back involved too. We haven't seen him in a year, but that kind of goes to show, Robbie, like that entire format was tough. And like you saw a guy like Burgos who was as tough as they come. He fought 4 times, 5 times in a calendar year, and I'm sure maybe he could have fought this year. I know PFL was kind of in this weird phase where it was kind of transitioning, but he took the year off. And he's the guy that we'd love to see again, and I'm sure we will in this new format. So the last card will be next week, HBO Max. Paul Hughes or Magomedov. I would assume who wins that is the champ of PFL, right?
I think so.
Probably, yeah. It wouldn't make sense to just run it back, like, you know.
And then, like, what do you do? Like, so when Johnny Eblin fights again, and he fought it, will he walk in with, obviously they don't walk in with the belt like WWE, but is he the champion when and it's like, and still, or will it be and new if he wins that fight?
Might be and new.
Probably and new.
I don't know. But like, it doesn't make sense to me to do the fight they're about to do and then, you know, have to redo it for no reason. So that might be the only one that sticks in my mind. It is a good card for Bellator to go out on, you know, a good final card for them. Good final.
They're not really even calling it that. If you saw, if you go on Bellator's even Instagram and there's no, and Ariel said it, there's no mention of Bellator. It just says it's PFL, like PFL Championship Series.
Yeah. Maybe they don't want to like take the attention away from the fighters and make it about like Bellator's last card. People would expect them to like bring back Bellator fighters or something like that. I don't know. I like that they're keeping a tournament for PFL though. I thought it worked well in Bellator when they were doing the Grand Prix and you had the clarity of like who's against who next and stuff. That helps, especially in an organization where not all of the fighters are going to be household names in the Grand Prix. So it's easier to be like, all right, we could look forward to this, this, and this.
Yeah, and you may get a great guy in the Grand Prix, and then there's kind of an up-and-comer. Kind of like what happened with Usman in the Grand Prix. He ended up facing – who did he end up facing from the Grand Prix? Was that –
I don't even remember.
But anyways – The Grand Prix, I agree. But I also am going to make a guess, just seeing how Don Davis operates. I don't think they're going to have like a final, like a farewell to.
No, I don't think so.
No, Belton. That just my guess.
I don't think so at all. Yeah. The UFC card this weekend you mentioned, pretty damn good. A lot of finishes, a lot of knockouts. We got, I think, 1 submission on the card, maybe, or 2. No, 2, because the main event had a submission as well. Big fight for Mackenzie Dern. She went in there, did what I think, thought she was going to do. We saw some big comebacks on the card. We saw Santiago Ponzinibbio pick up a big win late in his career. Maybe I shouldn't say late in his career, but it kind of is. He's been in the UFC for like 11 friggin' years. Overall, what were the big takeaways for you guys?
Ponzinibbio kind of came back. Harris is very good. Obviously, Evan and I were on separate sides there, but like, I wouldn't even say either of us were wrong. Like Harris just ended up kind of, I don't know if it was gassing her as much as just, but Ponzinibbio he's a guy that, I mean, he's always been fringe top 15, but he's a good fighter and he brings it, which is something you can really appreciate as a fan.
I like him. Yeah, I've always liked him.
Yeah, he's been a great 3rd round guy too. Like he's been in some awesome fights. Like him and Baez, it was a great fight. He had the big 3rd round knockout over Morano when he was like definitely losing that fight. Yeah, he's a great fight. I mean, he was ranked until the Leech clipped him with that big shot. Like that was when the Leech jumped in. He's been around for a long time. I mean, the Almeida knockout was insane. I think that was like the highlight of the, like, I mean, that might end up being like a knockout of the year contender. I mean,
I put
like, I
that
don't
in
know
my
if it'll
blog. I
win,
said I
but
know it's early, but like it's
I
gonna
think
be
that'll
tough
hang
to beat
around.
that. Yeah,
It can get beat. Like I mean, when you
yeah.
have shit like Holloway or even like, I mean, you never know you don't know what's gonna happen obviously over the next 12 months, but that was
Yeah.
insane,
The
especially
comeback aspect of it was crazy. He
yes.
had just gotten dropped and almost finished.
I saw someone say this. I forget who said it. It was maybe like I can't remember. It was some like MMA guy that I follow and respect. So whoever said it, good for you. That it was like the closest thing we've probably seen to like the Czech Congo like Pat Barry kind of thing. Like not quite to the extent of like the
Yeah.
extremity of it, but like in terms of he was hurt
It was
really
crazy.
bad. Where
Yeah.
I mean, Hassan was going for the kill. Like he smelled blood.
Yeah.
And was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get this guy right here, and then just got hit with the most vicious like counter left ever.
And was out for like 5 minutes.
Oh,
When they put him on the stool, he looked like a marionette puppet. Like his limbs like weren't connecting. It was scary.
Some really good matchmaking so far earlier in the year. Obviously we've only seen one card, but like from the get-go, it was really, really, really good.
Yeah.
And so much so that I was just like, okay, maybe the UFC I think there was a point last year, and it had to do a lot with the gloves. But there's a point I think Dana and Hunter probably sat down and said, "Hey, like we've had kind of a weird stretch of boring fights, decisions, and obviously that will happen in MMA in any organization. But we do need to make sure matchups are good and guys that are exciting rise to the top." Obviously, if you're an Umar or not, Umar's a little bit, we'll get to that fight later, but if you're a Marab and a guy like that, you can still rise, but you kind of have to beat more guys to get to the top, opposed to obviously the extreme example is Poton, but still, like even Cesar Almeida, they know if you put him up against a guy who can wrestle, he's probably gonna.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess his first fight was against a guy that could wrestle, and he outlasted him. So credit to him. But he's a guy he's nothing special. But they know, like, oh, against El Hassan, like that's a banger.
Yeah, and it was brought up in the chat that Chris Curtis finish. Rube said Chris Curtis refuses to have a normal fight finish. That was pretty crazy. Him getting clipped with a head kick, and then Mark Smith stepping in and stopping the fight with 1 second left. It was tough because he was out of it, and Mark Smith stopped the fight when he looked at his eyes, and he had the best view of his eyes. Maybe he saw this guy's fucking in space right now. But when there's 1 second left in the fight, Chris Curtis is getting back up onto, like he's like from his knees to, one knee, or he puts a foot up on the canvas. Kopolov's nowhere near him. I think he got to let the fight finish.
Yeah. Also, the crazy thing is now a lot of people would argue because of the kick, like that would have given him the round, and I don't totally disagree. But Curtis was minus like 300. I think I saw live, like basically when the kick happened. So it's, I mean, and then on the cards, it was 1-1 across the board, all three judges. So I think Kopilov probably gets the decision because
I think he does because of the kick.
Fight.
Yeah.
But it is tough. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw the comments today. It was him or Nixick or one of his coaches said it basically like, we're fighting two guys out there, like really going at Mark Smith, saying he's like, maniac, I think was the term he used. Really going at him, that he's just like,
Chris Curtis was screaming at him after the fight too. What the fuck was that, Mark? Like screaming across the octagon.
The second round, I'm more mad as a Chris Curtis better about the second round when Kopilov was like, Curtis could have finished him. It felt like Kopilov was on dead legs, and Chris Curtis Kopilov continued to foul him, and at a certain point, I think you have to take a point. Yeah. He stopped the fight. He stopped the momentum, and we know how important that is. Like, imagine if you are a guy that's like, like, I'm not saying Kopilov did it intentionally, but there is an aspect of you have to be careful enough. It's like in football when it's like, yeah, you didn't mean to interfere with them, but you did. So it's like there's a penalty anyways. And Kopilov, and how the fight was going, imagine if you were just a fighter and you're hurt and you can just take 30 seconds off. Like, well, what? Like,
Yeah.
so I get why they're mad. Now it is a classic Chris Curtis crash out after a fight.
It is.
But I
Yeah,
think
it's
this one was
unfortunate that it
low-key
was him because
justified.
it was a little justified. So it was like everyone's clowning him on Twitter, but like for once, I kind of felt like I don't know. He's like you can't really get on the guy for being upset in that moment. Like I think anyone would be upset in that moment, especially he just got fucking concussed. He's not all there right now. Like that head kick fucked him up.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because he's like the boy who cried wolf a little bit.
Yeah, I know. It's
because like he's the guy who like went nuts after like Hermanson fight, and it's like, bro, like you just lost. Like
the
everyone
middle
watching,
fingers and yeah,
like you just lost the fight straight up.
yeah.
So when you do get screwed, and or controversially get screwed, people
And
are
he's had to like
people are like
he's had to come out after fights and been like, "Hey, sorry, I crashed out." You know, like it happens. The emotions, like he's had this. It's just it's tough to do that over and over again. Let's remind everyone about another one of our favorite sponsors before we get into UFC 311, DraftKings. There's some great deals going on, not only for UFC 311, but for NFL. Obviously, the playoffs are going on right now. You bet we're talking about them. Get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Scoring touchdowns is the key to winning in the NFL playoffs, and the key to you scoring big is betting on them at DraftKings, the number one place to bet touchdowns. I did this weekend. It's great stuff. Great stuff. Obviously, the Commanders won. I was very happy about that. If you're ready to place your first bet, try betting on something simple like a player to score 6. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app and make your pick. There's another reason to watch your favorite players crush it in the playoffs. New customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Score big during the NFL playoffs with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code BACKFIST. That's code BACKFIST for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. And Ev, I'm sure you'll be using DraftKings for Ohio State as well.
Oh, obviously. I mean, huge game.
National championship.
One more. Went out counting nothing. One more. Job's not finished. It's all for nothing. We don't win. But I'll be on DraftKings placing a responsible hammer on the Buckeyes.
There you go. All right. Let's pull up UFC 311. Let's get right into it. Unless there's anything else that we missed that you guys wanted to recap or get into before.
I mean, Habib,
I think someone said in the chat, worth mentioning, Leon JDM sounds like a pretty much done deal
in London
for a London
right?
card. So I mean that's an awesome main event, potentially number one contender fight. I mean, I think even if JDM wins, like I think he's clearly like there, and obviously Shavkat will be like next, but I'm saying like after that, JDM will be right there. Obviously, if he wins, and Leon, I think firmly would be in the conversation for like a rematch or like potentially. If Shavkat held the belt at that point, like getting a shot at Shavkat.
Yeah. And Jack, you said Habib, the plane incident, you mean? Just in general?
Yeah.
We can talk about that, yeah.
I mean, there's not really much you could even say. It seems like it was a weird situation.
Yeah, it was the exit row thing. It was, when they got to get the verbal yes, they said he didn't really understand what he was being asked at first, then gave a reluctant yes. And they were like, all right, we don't feel comfortable that this guy would be able to assist. And everyone kind of thought the same thing. Like, I think Khabib would probably be able to assist. And in case of an emergency, I think he's probably the guy you want on the plane.
I'm surprised that nobody like on the plane was like yelling like that. Is like,
yeah,
no,
I know.
We
like
want him.
He's a UFC champion. He'll be able to get the door off. Even if it's like jammed, he'll be able to get the door off.
Especially like we're talking. This is like light heavyweight Khabib, middleweight Khabib.
It's like 200 Khabib exactly.
He was wrestling a bear as a child.
Yeah. So that situation sucks. It was put on Alaska Airlines at first, and I said it was kind of funny in my mind to think of the Alaska Airlines CEO running around like, who the fuck kicked Khabib off that flight? Why can't we find this flight attendant? Only for it to be Frontier. But yeah, tough situation. Sorry to Khabib for that. Just seems like it sucks your travel getting delayed. Sorry to the Frontier Airlines flight attendant who thought she was doing the right thing maybe, and now she's getting like death threats. Sucks all around. I tell you who's loving it, Connor. Probably Connor.
Did you see he followed Frontier?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
It's a funny grudge move. Connor was also getting clowned this week he went and played soccer out in Ireland, and the clips were horrendous. I mean, he is tackling people like crazy slide tackles, actual just like takedowns. He's grabbing people by the back of their shoulders and taking them down. And then the one time he got the ball passed to him, actually there was two clips. The one time he got the ball passed to him, he kicked it and like hit the crossbar on like a real far shot. And I was like, oh shit. The other time he just like stumbled and fell over it basically, and people laughed at him. Tough week for the champ.
I think he's like a lot of these guys that are big time fighters. When they do another athletic task, like their almost animal brain turns on, and they're like, I have to attack like physically. Like they like can't, like he just like sees like a guy close to him. He's like, I'm gonna take you down, or like I'm gonna grab you. Like it's just like it doesn't even have ill intentions. It's just like his animal brain turns on.
They have a different gauge of pain too, where there was also a clip of him throwing a kick at a ball and just wallops some guy in the body. And I think in Connor's mind, he's like, oh yeah, I could just throw my limbs around like nothing. It's like, well, not everyone's prepared to take a body kick from Conor McGregor, dude. Like we're playing men's league soccer.
Was that the bionic leg too? It was.
No, I don't think it was.
Is his bionic leg left or right?
I think the bionic leg is left. I'm trying to think of the way he was with Joe Rogan, right?
Yeah.
And he had the right leg. I think he had his right leg.
Yeah, he had his right leg.
I could be wrong about that. Yeah.
Anyways, it would have been a double tough hit to the stomach if it was also the bionic
if it was
leg.
The metal leg, yeah. All right, let's get into UFC 311. I'll pull up the odds on DraftKings right now, our sponsor DraftKings. Lot of fights on this card. How many fights? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is this a 16? Is this a 14? 14, I think. Left leg. It was his left leg. Yeah. Thank you, Rube, in the chat. We kick things off with Tagir Ulanbekov versus Clayton Carpenter. Clayton Carpenter, pretty heavy underdog, plus 260. Ulanbekov, minus 325. Are the props out for all of these fights yet? Maybe not.
Well,
just
I think not for like the first fight of the night. I think
for some over-unders, some totals.
Yeah. For the top 4 fights, they have props out already.
Yeah, I was going to say that could be an over fight, but it's minus 260. You don't want to bet that.
I think it's like I think Clayton Carpenter is good. I think he's actually genuinely good. I just think this is like a levels fight. I think it's Ulanbekov. It's a very tough test for him this early in his career. I think Ulanbekov wins like a competitive fight, maybe even gets like he got the crazy guillotines, like maybe finds one or chokes. Finds one.
Like a submission, yeah.
I could see that like later in the fight, but I think Carpenter like shows decently well, but I think Ulanbekov wins.
Yeah, Tagir always has issues on the scale. A few like last year, he was supposed to have a fight and it got canceled because he came in overweight. If he's really on the scale looking like a skeleton, Clayton has good cardio. Maybe like if a round 3 is in the range of like 30 to 40 to 1, maybe Clayton Carpenter's worth a little stab. But because he has good BJJ, and it's like, okay, so what's Tagir's win equity? And it's probably mostly decision. This fight's gonna have a lot of scrambles. It'll be fun, but I agree with that. Like I think it's just kind of a levels, and I think the line is right where it should be. Minus 325 makes sense.
And then we've got almost similar odds. We've got Ricky Turcios versus Bernardo Sopaj. Sopaj minus 290. Turcios plus 235. Do you think Turcios deserves to be plus 235 in this fight?
Are you saying it should be more?
I'm saying I think he's got a shot. Am I crazy for that?
No, I think the line at a certain point does get wide. I think he has a shot to get Sopaj's back and submit him Ricky's weird though, because he'll just like, I was gonna suggest an under here. Under 2.5 is plus 150, but you know, Ricky will sometimes just stand on the outside and just look at you. Like you remember that fight against what's his name? The Canadian. Sahabi. He just like stood there. Now, Sopaj, is he getting too much credit for just staying in there with Vinicius Oliveira? Oliveira is good, but like, how good is he? We don't really know. Is he getting too much credit off of a loss? That was a last-second fight, but is his cardio kind of suspect? Maybe Tercios round 2, round 3 sub. But I kind of agree with you. I think at a certain point, if Sopaj becomes, you know, beyond plus 300 or so, I think he may be worth a play. I think right now it kind of makes sense because Tercios just kind of sucks.
Yeah, he's so low volume, and the thing with Sopaj, I do think the Oliveira loss, it has still aged well. Like he was competitive in that fight, super short notice. I mean, we watched Oliveira just dog walk Ricky Simone like a few months later. Oliveira is enormous for the weight class, absolutely huge. So I do think it's like a good loss. I mean, it was just tough the way it finished, obviously, but yeah, it's dog or pass for me though. I just don't think I could lay like minus like close to 300 on Sopaj.
Then we've got Rinya Nakamura versus Muyan Gafarov. Nakamura minus 520. Wow, this card really doesn't have a close fight for a while, huh?
But this is another fight where it's
odds
like,
wise. I know, yeah. This fight could, yeah.
Like Gafarov kind of sucks, but Rinya is the guy who just plays with his food. Like this guy
minus 520 is crazy.
And outside of some random guy from China, he just goes to the decisions. Like he's like, I think they call him the Japanese Conor McGregor, but his last 2 fights, like against Carlos Vera and another guy I completely forgot, he goes to decision. And it's like, okay, could Gafarov kind of make something happen? I guess it's kind of like Ricky Tercios. Like, yeah, it's a good bet, quote unquote, because it's like maybe he steals around, but like he's gonna lose. I just feel like more times than not. Here's a question though: of these first 3 fights, will an underdog win? I feel like one wins, right? Or I would not feel good parlaying these 3 favorites together.
No, I wouldn't either. I would agree with that.
I think you're probably right. But if I were to pick an underdog that wins, I would think it was Ricky Tercios.
At least he has experience in the UFC. Gafarov, you know what's crazy? Gafarov is younger than Nakamura, and he has more experience. So it's like, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know. But he stinks. He's like, he's lost fights to. He's lost fights to.
Oh wow, Almeida's odds just went down.
He's lost fights to like you know, Castaneda, Chad Ellinger. Is he worth a bet?
Maybe a sprinkle.
Because at a certain point, it's a little bit too much.
Then Carol Rosa versus Aileen Perez. Perez plus 210, Rosa minus 258. One where I think Rosa probably wins easily. I don't think I want to bet minus 258 on her. But yeah, it's crazy that it takes like 5 fights to get someone that's, you know, not plus 200 or more.
I just feel bad for the fans. I don't think we're getting the twerk show this weekend, unfortunately.
No, I don't think it's happening this
weekend. The fans are paying hard-earned money.
Maybe at the weigh-ins.
Yeah, maybe at the weigh-ins. Maybe we get some at the weigh-ins. But I think there'll be no twerking unless Rosa wants to hit a twerk.
Maybe in retaliation, yeah.
I bet Hosa earlier in the week at minus 185 got in early, which is huge.
Nice, yeah.
I think at a certain point, this fight is just like how's Aileen Perez gonna win? I guess Jose has shown us before where she's lazy and just like you watch her and you're watching her fight and you're looking at her thinking, what are you doing? What are you doing? I think of the Sarah McMahon fight, but Sarah McMahon's a high level wrestler. She wrestled in the Olympics. Eileen Perez, what's she gonna do? Shoot better takedowns than McMahon? Jose even handled McMahon's takedowns well at a certain point. And if Jose doesn't get taken down, what's Eileen Perez gonna do? Her striking's awful. So I just see this as kind of. I mean, I'm willing to bet that Jose does not allow takedowns.
I love Jose as a parlay piece. Great number by Jack. Great snipe.
Then we've got Grant Dawson versus Diego Ferreira. Diego plus 215. Grant Dawson minus 265. I actually like Grant Dawson. I like watching him fight. Is this one where we could see an underdog coming up and winning, though?
I think absolutely.
Right?
I think this price is crazy.
Yeah.
I think Dawson should maybe be like a slight favorite. Like Diego Ferreira, he's so good for a long time. He's fought all the best guys. He's hung with like all of them. I mean, even the thing that I think about this fight, like Dawson, we know what Dawson wants to do. He doesn't want to strike at all. He wants to take it to the mat. He wants to dominate on the mat, take his back. But I mean, Ferreira's a guy, we've seen him grapple with some like really good grapplers. Like, I mean, him and Benny Dariush have had some great fights. Dariush is a great grappler, submission artist. I don't know. I just don't see why the line is so wide. Like, we saw Grant Dawson walk in as a minus like 600 favorite to Bobby Green get knocked out in 30 seconds by a jab. Like, I don't think his chin's very good. If he gets on the mat, like I would imagine he'll have some success. But I think Ferreira will defend takedowns well. I think he'll defend submissions well, and I think he's definitely the better striker. I'll like gladly put a unit on Ferreira. Anything over plus like 200, I think is a solid bet.
I don't know why I just can't get to Ferreira. I think I'm gonna sit this one out. But I'm with Av. Like, if you put a gun to my head, I'm betting CDF. But I think Dawson, he trains at ATT, high level. This is his fight to win. But you're right. He does have chin issues at points. And there's even been cardio concerns before. But the level of respect that he gets from a lot of those ATT fighters puts him pretty high on my list. But you're right. Anything above plus 200 feels as if, why not?
He just seems like a very good guy, and I think it seems like he works his ass off. I mean, his last fight was the hilarious. He was like it bounce a quarter off his wife's ass.
Yeah,
whatever. Like, very funny. His wife's a fighter too.
It's a very funny quote. They cut to her in the crowd. He was like covering her face. She was like, "Oh no." That's funny.
He's just saying on national television, his wife's got a dump truck of an ass.
Yeah. Then we've got Ev's guy Jelton Almeida versus Sergey Spivak. Jelton Almeida minus 470. Are there props out for this? Can you bet him via? No, not yet.
Not yet.
Will you try to bet him?
Over 1.5 is minus 115. Over. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I obviously am the Almeida guy. I think he wins, but it's scary. I don't know if Spivak has like the power, because like Blades, he was dominating Blades, like taking him down like crazy. Gets hit with a few hammer fists and just is cooked. His chin is my biggest concern. Yeah. I think it always will be. But I don't know if Spivak has the power to take advantage of it. I think he can't. Spivak definitely can win. I'll probably, as just such an Almeida stan, I'll probably toss him in a parlay. But it's definitely a fight. I think he'll be fine, but I'm a little worried about it. Like, after the Blades fight, that'll always be like in the back of my head.
Yeah, I don't think Spivak has that power. I think Spivak's kind of a takedown or bust here. I'm really looking at the under 1.5, because I think like if Spivak does get that takedown, I think there is a shot that he can get a finish here and get on top. But I think Almeida is just a much better grappler, and I think Spivak will quit at a certain point, and I think it may happen within the first 7 minutes and 30 seconds. So yeah, I'm considering that. This is a fight where it does feel like the line's inflated a little bit, but I get why. I do get why. These lines are inflated. Like I would have Jailton minus 400. So minus 470 is not that crazy, but it's tough. Like these lines, it feels as if we're getting to a point now where it's like you just want to take underdogs, no matter what. And,
yeah, I know. A lot of these fights.
It's kind of like, wait, what? And but I just can't get the Spivak. I don't know if he cares that much anymore. And I think the UFC knows that, and I think UFC likes Jailton.
The next fight is like, how do you even break down a fight where someone's minus 1,200? It's Peyton Talbot making his return to the UFC against Raoni Barcelos. Barcelos plus 750. The over 1.5 rounds minus 175. The under plus 135. Maybe the under is kind of an interesting bet. I don't know. I don't have like extreme faith that Talbot's going to finish the fight immediately, but could be a fun bet, I guess, if you're looking for anything on that fight.
I think to me, I don't know if Jack Mack feels. I think me and Jack Mack talked about this fight like very briefly earlier in the week. I think this is one of those like, listen, Talbot's gonna win, but there's like a part of me that wants to make like a half to like quarter unit donation on Barcelos and just like just like pay the token for that roller coaster and hop on and like see if he can string it out, like survive and maybe like test the cardio a little bit of Talbot. Barcelos is old. Talbot's just he's big and strong, and he obviously hits hard. So that's where I get concerned. But if Barcelos can like kind of like wily vet him a little bit, maybe we'll see. But I mean, Talbot probably gets it. I'm sure he gets it done.
15 months removed from Nick Aguirre taking a round off Peyton Talbot. And now he's
fair.
And now he's minus 1,200 against Raoni Barcelos.
I don't think Umar Nurmagomedov was minus 1,200 against Barcelos, was he?
No, I think he was more like minus 800. Like
that's what I thought.
And I like Talbot. It's just that's a crazy line. And Barcelos is what? He's 37. But he's coming off.
It's the same line as the Gamori fight. Like Barcelos is much better than Gamori. Experience, has fought a bunch of good guys. I mean,
and like I kind of look at Peyton Talbot as very similar to a Kyler Phillips, where they're very athletic and they're kind of they're like, if you had to comp, I would say Peyton's better, probably has more power. But we're not too far removed from Raoni taking Kyler Phillips to the decision. I know he got dominated that fight, but like maybe the over is live.
I wish it was a little over for minus 175 is probably a little bit more juice for the squeeze than I'd like.
So, yeah, but it's like if this fight happens 100 times, does Peyton Talbot really win it like 93 of those? I don't think so. I don't know.
Up next, I think this one is the final fight on the prelims. Could be wrong about that. I think it is though. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, there's the Zach Reese one. Like he had Dumas dropped out, so he has a late replacement.
Oh, did I skip that? Yeah, Azamat
Bakayev, who's
Bakayev. Yeah, minus 225 on him.
That's tough draw for Reese.
That's tough.
Him versus Dumas would have been like legitimate cinema.
Yeah,
Zach Reese and Dumas was like incredible matchmaking.
I want to see the total here because I don't know. It's like Azamat's pretty good. He comes from LFA. He's kind of a Russian type fighter where he wrestles a lot. That's going to really push Zach Reese's gas tank, which has been a little bit of a question. But he just went 15 minutes with Medina. Didn't finish him though. But Medina is the toughest guy of all time. As a man on short notice, that's really tough. But like he's a guy that's fought some pretty good competition on the regionals. So I don't. Zach Reese kind of gives me it's like he may be worth an investment. I don't know.
And then the actual last fight on the prelims, Billy Alencana versus Bogdan Guskov. Guskov is minus 310, Alenka plus 250, Alencana. I keep saying Alenka. Bogdan Guskov probably going to win this fight. Is this another one where there's a late notice fill in too, though?
It was supposed to be Johnny Walker.
Oh, the shit, that's
Which
right.
would have been Guskov and Walker would have been.
This card could have been even better.
Yeah, Guskov Walker was a banger. Great fight.
Yeah, damn. Those two replacements kind of it's not a damper on the card. We have enough that the next 5 fights we're going to talk about are all bangers. They're all sick, but yeah, that sucks.
It's tough because I don't know much about the guy Guskov's fighting, to be honest. Guskov, for those of you who remember, he's Anthony Smith 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
He just literally looks exactly like him. He's got a lot of power. He's got big power. He's a striker. But yeah, I just don't know enough about the other guy to really bet on it.
Billy Alencana has actually beaten some UFC fighters, I believe. He fought. He actually fought Brian Battle when Brian Battle was a light heavyweight on the amateur scene. And then, he's pretty I think he has a chance to win. Yeah. Guskov, I may look at this at him for a round 2, round 3 if it's really juicy, because Guskov is just leaves a lot to be desired. But if Guskov lands early, his lights are probably going out. But this is a guy that wants, he's a professional fighter. This isn't a joke guy. This guy's, he's 7-1. He's fought in LFA. He's fought in PFL.
All right. Now the main card, we might have to speed through because we got 7 minutes till Pick Central starts.
I can go a little bit past. It's all right.
All right, cool.
Big card.
Kevin Holland versus Rainier de Ridder. Kevin Holland minus 112, Rainier minus 108. Basically a pick 'em fight. The first one, the closest odds on the whole card. The first one that has odds this close. This is a good fight. Again, I think I said this last time we had a Kevin Holland fight. I feel very uncomfortable betting on Kevin Holland at this point because we don't know what version of him is showing up. And I think that auto bets me to Rainier. I think I'm at the point where I'm just I'm not betting on Kevin Holland anymore.
I think that's a good strategy. I don't know how much he cares. I think he does care. He's a good fighter, but how hard is he training? Rene de Ridder said for his whole life, the UFC was always his goal. He always want this is his second fight. The GM3, he GM3. Although that fight was just very it's
weird.
But GM3 is a tough guy. I feel as if de Ridder could look minus 500, minus 1,000 here. And I think I'm going to get there for betting him. The line's been weird all week. De Ridder was an underdog. Then he went up to minus 118. Now he's down to minus 108. I think de Ridder can get the takedowns going. Holland, obviously, not a great takedown defense. He kind of fights just for fun, it feels as if. Obviously, we saw that against Wonderboy. He's just oh, get up, get up. But he was yeah, come on, get up. I know I could finish you right now, but let's just fight. I think the UFC wants de Ridder to win. Kevin Holland's kind of a weird gatekeeper where they don't mind if he wins because he is popular. I really want Kevin Holland to walk out to Alonzo Ball's song. Someone has to do it.
I think somebody will. I think somebody will do it. Yeah, I think you guys have both made great points. It's tough with a guy like Holland where I'm such a fan, but it's just the motivation factor is there's such a big gap here where Rainier de Ridder is, Jack, like you said, this man's training his entire life to be UFC champion. This is all he cares about is winning this fight. He doesn't care. I don't think he cares if the fight's exciting. I don't think he cares how he's going to do it. He's going to do it. And I think something that's very important to note too, This fight's at 185. Kevin Holland at 185 gets taken down and held down by the best guys,
True.
by Vettori, by Brunson, like by some of these guys have just taken him down, held him down. I think that's exactly what DeRitter will want to do here. I feel like I've had almost like a come to Jesus moment with this fight where I was like very unsure. And now I feel like I'm definitely gonna bet DeRitter. Like I think I just like have to.
Yeah, I think
Just the size, the like wrestling grappling advantage, the motivational factor. Like this is winning this fight is everything to DeRitter. It is not winning this fight is not everything to Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland makes a shit ton of money to fight. Like you said, he's the perfect gatekeeper because if he wins, he's popular. Awesome. Kevin Holland won a fight. Great. If he loses, everyone still loves him. He's still going to get he'll still be on another main card soon in similar fashion. I think betting wise, it has to be RDR. It has to.
Yeah. Then we've got Dariush versus Moicano. Great fight here. Moicano minus 175, Dariush plus 145. I got to be honest, I love Money Moicano. Absolutely love the guy like a brother. My brain is telling me he's going to lose this fight. My heart's telling me I want him to win this fight. My brain's telling me bet Dariush plus 145 while you could get him at that price. More experience, more well-rounded, I think. I think Dariush is going to win the fight. I just got to be honest. I would like Moicano to win. I think Dariush is going to win.
Yeah, I bet Dariush plus 170 earlier in the week. Got it on a good price. I still like it here. I would bet it at plus 145. There's a chance Dariush is just washed. He doesn't care anymore.
He might be washed.
But outside of that, I don't know where's Moicano better. And people are saying, I see in the chat, I don't want to be like we appreciate Rube Baker. Like we appreciate all your guys' opinions. He said like Moicano locked by KO. Moicano doesn't knock people out. He like that. He really never has.
He did Jalen Turner.
Yeah.
Ground and pound KO'd him.
But Moicano, these guys are the same age. Just because Dariush has gray hair, people think of him as this old fossil. I get that he got knocked out, but he got knocked out by Arman Sarukian. And yeah, his chin is questionable, but so is Moicano's. It's not like Moicano has this amazing chin.
Oh, and BSD. He knocked out BSD.
Well, Dr.
Stoppage. And
it was a cut stoppage.
It's going to sound crazy.
He gets credit. Great performance by him in that fight.
He gets credit, but he also, his shoulder was out. And if if they let BSD keep fighting as if he was at war, he would have won that fight. I think Dariush, he's just better. He's almost better at everywhere, if not better, the same. And Moicano, this is just like you're fading the hype train.
Yeah. Then we've got Yuri Prohaska versus Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill minus 125. Yuri plus 105. Another one. I want to take Yuri here. And I don't know. I got to be honest. I like Jamal Hill. We've interviewed him. He's been very nice to us. I don't know how much my mind is clouded by his reaction to the Alex Pereira knockout. But something about that and the way he's handled it and the way he's handled Alex in general makes me think his mind isn't in the right spot. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe it's the anger a fighter needs, and he's going to go out there and knock the fuck out of Yuri. But I think I'm taking Yuri in this fight.
I like Jamal Hill. I think Yuri. I think too much of it has become that like the narrative like the samurai versus like Jamal Hill, like everyone kind of hates him now, and if you hate him, that's totally fine. It is coin flip ish. So like the Yuri's plus 105 right now. So like if you're on the Yuri side, like I get it. I think it's definitely a close fight. To me, the biggest thing the reason I like Jamal Hill is I think Yuri's just very hittable. I think he's been hittable his whole career. It's the way he fights. I don't think Jamal is hittable in the same way. I think he's a little more disciplined in terms of like trying to not get hit. I think he's probably I might argue he's a better I think pure boxer. He might be better. I think he's faster probably a little bit. So yeah, I like Jamal Hill. I'm gonna kind of zig when everyone else sags. I think a lot of people are gonna be on Yuri, And like I said, I don't like blame you. I don't think it's like I'm not gonna sit here and be like that's so stupid. But yeah, I like Jamal Hill. I think he gets it done. I think he even gets a knockout.
And this is, and I know it was late June, but Yuri just got knocked out bad, man.
Mm-hmm.
And we're only 6 months removed, and I get Jamal Hill got knocked out bad too, but that extra 3 months or so opposed from UFC 300 to UFC 303, I think is a big jump. And now Yuri's a samurai, and he may find a way. This fight may even look kind of like we saw, not the same, but El Hassan against Cesar Almeida, where these like Jamal really hurts Yuri, and then Yuri somehow finds something. This fight's going to be fascinating. I don't know if I'm going to have a bet, but I can't wait to watch it. I mean, it's going to be sick. I see Ev's angle though.
Now the co-main event, a much talked about fight, a fight that for a little bit it looked like Merab was avoiding. Merab takes on Umar Nurmagomedov. Merab, the champ, plus 240. Umar Nurmagomedov minus 298. Should he be minus 298? I don't know.
I'm gonna get in front of this right now. I'm gonna say this. This is almost like trying to reverse jinx. I'm taking both dogs in the co-main and main event, and I'm fully prepared. I'm fully prepared for them to both go like neck and neck and lose both. I'm like ready for it. I've accepted it that it's very possible. I just don't see how you can sit here and line Merab in this fight plus 240. That makes
agree.
It makes no sense to me.
Umar
is phenomenal. He's phenomenal. He might even be a better striker, but Merab's cardio is insane. The wrestling, everything is insane. He's gonna push pace over and over and over. You're never gonna worry about is Merab not gonna like have enough activity output? Like he's gonna have it. Does he get caught? Maybe he's been chinny. That's possible. Cejudo clipped him. Mariah's clipped him pretty bad.
True.
Like, is it possible?
John hurt him in the stomach.
Sure, but I just think this price is like, how do you not? How do you not? I will gladly live and die by the sword with a unit, at least one unit on Merab Dvalishvili here. Have to. If I lose, I lose.
I bet Merab plus 245 last night. I thought the parlay boys, the Dagestani parlay, was going to push it a little bit higher, but I think people are just looking at this and sharp money's coming in and kind of because Merab was up at like plus 270 at a certain point. The line, I think, is like, and I get what Ev's saying. Could he get clipped? Yeah, but I mean, guys, we're 9 or 10 months ago, we saw like Beksat Almakin, who isn't that bad, go to decision with Umar, put him on his ass. Like, what's Umar? Umar's not this scary guy where it's like, oh, he's gonna get the finish. I think he's really good, but how much better is he than? So cardio, he's like even. Striking, I would say even. Wrestling, even. Like maybe Umar has a little bit of like an edge, both
maybe
there,
a slight edge.
But the slight edge does not mean minus 300.
No.
Merab all day, and Merab is going to Merab will die on his sword, and may be a 50-45 decision, but he's gonna go for it, and I can't wait for him to do it. This is Merab all day.
And then the main event, Islam Makhachev versus Arman Tsarukyan. Ev already said he's taking the underdog. He's going underdog co-main and main. The underdog here being Tsarukyan plus 295, Makhachev minus 375. I think I'm on Makhachev here, if I'm being honest. Like, I'm not gonna bet him minus 375. Just in my mind and my gut, I think he is gonna win. The Coach Khabib influence might be having some effect on my brain there as well, but it's just hard for me to. I say it's hard for me to imagine him losing, but like Dustin Poirier was putting up a decent fight in Newark, and Arman Tsarukyan, I think, is much better than Dustin Poirier at this point of his career. I think it's going to be a good fight. I don't think he's just going to dominate for 5 rounds, but I do think Makhachev's going to come up on top. I would love to see Tsarukyan win on the flip side.
Just this, I just can't get my head around him being plus almost 300 here. They had such a close fight the first time around. Short notice, young, big stage. Like he was a co-main event, like over there, I think in Russia, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I just don't like. I think this is going to be such a competitive, close fight. Like I really think this is like a coin flip. I really, really do. I think Armin's striking's gotten so much better. I think the grappling exchanges will be just like legendary, like just back and forths. Like you just said, Rob, we saw him like Poirier defend a shit ton of takedowns.
Yeah.
Like I think Armin can absolutely do that. Armin is going to come in so prepared, like ready. Cardio is going to be great. I think it's a super close fight. Again, like I just feel like I'm going to end up losing like a 48-47 here or something, but plus 295. I generally think if Armin was plus like 175, I'd still take him. I just think the fight's that close, like skill wise, they're very similar, just the way they stylistically. I love Armin at this price.
Yeah, it's hard to not bet Armin. I think Islam's my favorite fighter ever.
Wow.
At least in the spinning back fist era. He's so much like I just find him so much fun to watch, and then also he is just like I love him as a character. But Armin is just like I can't justify the line. No, I just can't. Yeah, it's interesting though because I feel as if like who is keeping this line on Islam this high? Like who is betting this? Because
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people would disagree with us. I think even if we talk to the sharp bettors we know, I don't think they would disagree. That's such the line is huge. Like
It's crazy.
It comes down a little bit and then it gets bet back. Who's doing it? And I would assume it's respected money. And it's not like, oh, parlay money so far. Or maybe they're prepping for the parlays. I don't know. Like the bookmaking is a thing that's very sophisticated and we may not fully understand, but I'm just wondering who's keeping it this high. We've seen Marab drop. We've seen a bit of Dariush drop. I just want to know. I want to talk to the people that are keeping it high. I want to see what they're saying because I agree with that. It's close.
Yeah.
But
this is one where Mincy, he would normally say Vegas is always on point. Vegas knows what they're talking about. I think Mincy might be wrong on this one,
But it's like I think we're going to get a motivated Islam here.
Yeah.
I really don't think he likes how Armin has talked about him.
Angry at Frontier, angry at Armin, all of it.
And Habib will be in his corner. And I think this is a legacy fight for Islam.
Oh, yeah.
Big time.
This is a fight, and this is a fight where it's like, okay, you beat him. All right, we can start talking about what you want to talk about.
Yeah.
Did you see what Sarukian said about Morales, Adrian, who knocked out Islam?
No.
He was like, I sparred with him once. He's like, no, like I get why Islam was put out by him. Sarukian said that he was coughing up blood for
oh my God
2 weeks straight after he sparred with him.
This guy's a menace.
So, yes, shout out to Pantoja.
Yeah, Pantoja, the GOAT.
Did you see Cejudo say talking with Sarukian and he called him Islam? He's like, Islam, thanks for coming on the show, man. I can't wait to see you fight. You deserve this. First fight I ever saw you, it was against Gamrot, but can't wait to see you fight. Thanks for coming on. And then the camera cuts the Sarukian. He's like, yep, pleasure being here.
It's not as bad as when I had Juliana Pena literally next to me, and I was like, all right, look forward to Amanda Nunes versus Juliana. She was like, Pena? It's like, fuck, I knew that. I swear I knew that. I just had a brain fart. All right, that was the Spin and Backfist MMA show, UFC 311 edition. We'll talk to you after the card. Go tune into Pick Central now.